Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. We have the CitizenCon schedule, so let's talk about what we may be seeing at this year's event. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members, in particular to Die the Don for becoming a VIP channel member. Thank you so much, my friend. And also to Nate the Great, who became my latest patron. Thank you both so much for the support. So CitizenCon is almost upon us. We have the full schedule of what panels we are going to be seeing, what their subjects are, and the developers that will be presenting them. So today I will be running through what each panel is going to be talking about, plus discuss potential features that we may be seeing during each one. So firstly, the event will be kicking off on October 9th at 3 PM UTC time, which for us in the UK will be around 4 PM, so literally 1 week away from now. There are 7 panels plus Chris Roberts' opening and ending keynote, with each of these likely lasting around 30 minutes to an hour and a half. So there is a potential for the whole event to go on for around 7, 8, even 9 hours long, maybe even finishing around midnight UK time, which is going to be excellent. Also, I personally expect that Chris Roberts' opening and closing keynote will be a live gameplay demo, but all the panels will be pre-recorded. Now, I don't know this for certain, but that makes the most sense. And to be honest, the more pre-recorded the event is, the less potential there will be for it to be played with technical issues and delays. Now, I'm expecting it'll kick off with Jared and Tyler presenting the live stream while they wait for Chris Roberts to get ready. Then shortly after 4 PM, or maybe like 4:30, Chris will take the stage. So for the opening keynote, in usual fashion, I would expect Chris to be talking about the last couple of years, as we didn't have a CitizenCon last year, and how it's been for the company, how they've adapted and so forth. Then hopefully he will kick off with a gameplay demo. Now, as I say, it is not 100% confirmed that there will be an actual gameplay demo for the keynote. I really hope there is, and I do expect one. And even though a lot of what we do see in these gameplay demos are not always things that we get in the near term, I personally do love to see the showcase of everything that they are working on and just how the bigger picture will look. So hopefully Chris Roberts has a demo planned, but again, it is not a guarantee. Last year, the opening with Chris Roberts lasted around 35 minutes, which did include a little demo, so it'll likely be around the same time before they move on to the first panel. And the first panel is called Life in the Verse, which says it's this year's biggest panel, and it will take us on a guided tour of the current in-game universe with the developers who bring it all to life, exploring locations, systems, gameplay, and more. Now, the term current in-game universe I feel is very misleading, as I originally thought it was literally referring to just the Stanton system. But thankfully, there was an accidental screen share on Star Citizen Live, and we now know that there will be a full Pyro walkthrough. So I do expect all the planets and moons of Pyro, and hopefully including Ruin Station as well. That would be pretty cool. And do expect Pyro to look somewhat different to Stanton, as they have been really trying to push the diversity of what they can achieve with their current planet tech tools. Now, I also wouldn't be surprised if we get to see other systems heavily in work in progress, like Nyx and maybe even other systems, as I'm sure that these two systems, being Pyro and Nyx, are not the only systems that they've been working on, especially as when they mention they will be exploring systems, they meant plural. So we will definitely see something beyond Pyro, whether it's just Nyx or if it's Nyx and somewhere else, I don't know, but I would think so. Very excited to see this panel, and a great one to kick off the event with. As mentioned earlier, I expect all of these panels will be pre-recorded, so hopefully no technical issues, just full-on planetary glory that I expect will last for at least 1 hour. Now, the second panel is going to be a good one as well. It is called Ship Talk, which will be looking at the new and upcoming ships, their production, and it says provide some much anticipated updates about a fan favourite vessel. Now, of course, there are so many potential ships, known and unknown, that we could see during this presentation. The 400i, the Argo Raft, the Argo MPUV mining variant even, just to name a few, likely many more as well. This is going to be a very exciting panel, and if I was to guess at the updates on the fan favourite, I would probably go down the route of the Banu Merchantman, as the reconcepting and building of the ship began early January this year. And although the work on the Banu Merchantman goes on until June next year, it does specifically say updates about a fan favourite, which the BMM certainly is. Don't expect it to be anywhere near though if it is the BMM, but do place your bets in the comments below on what ship you think they are talking about, as I am obviously just guessing here. I also expect that this ship talk panel will likely be taking us through the current ship pipeline and any new additional tech that they have brought in. Personally, I would love to see updates on the fire hazard system and see that in action, maybe more on the damage and physical material system as well, but if there is anything engineering like physical components or even the resource generation and item control system and such, I will be a very happy man, but I'm not sure if they're ready to show any of that off yet. Probably another hour-long panel at the least, all dedicated to ships and a great follow-up to the Life in the Verse panel. So the next panel after Ship Talk is one that I think many of us will be very interested in. It is the Gen 12 and the multi-core of Vulcan. Now this says they will delve into the nitty-gritty details of Gen 12, which is the new renderer that is being developed for both Squadron and the PU, and utilising the Vulcan graphics API with a particular focus on multi-CPU parallelism as well as improved flexibility for quicker feature development. They will look at the why it was needed, its architecture and how it aids performance, plus give us an all-important update on its progress. Now I am so excited to see this panel. I really hope they show off all the ways that they can utilise this, not only in performance increases, obviously that will be very interesting in itself, but anything else that this will enable CIG to do. And an update on its progress certainly will be welcome, as Gen 12 I think should almost be complete by now, but I am not sure where Vulcan is yet. Anyway, a great panel, and could likely be another hour-long panel, so this will take us up to, 7 PM UTC, 8 PM British time, UK time? It is going to be a late one. Now the panel that follows the Gen 12 is called Crafting Worlds, Planetary Tools and Tech, and is the big picture look at some of the new planet tech features being developed to further bring Star Citizen to life. Now although we have no solid idea of what we will be seeing in this panel, I think it is highly likely that we will see improved height maps which could allow for things like canyons and much larger mountains, the increased level of diversity that we will be seeing with Pyro, Nyx and beyond and how they've achieved that. And I also really hope that we will see some updates on rivers and basins, as we know they are on the progress tracker and set to complete their work in December. Could we see any progress on roads? Potentially, but with their split from the rivers deliverable, I wouldn't expect so. And the same kind of goes for lava. The work on lava has not yet begun, although of course it would be very cool to see any concepts or early work in progress on either of these. I just think it's unlikely. Now the next panel after this one, and I think it will be one that most of us are interested in, is server meshing and the state of persistence, with the panel description reading: discover the transformative technologies of server meshing and persistent streaming, a deep dive into the technical architecture of these key core initiatives that will enable a truly massive, scalable and persistent world. In fact, this panel will be even more important with the release of Alpha 3.15, as this brings in the initial work done on persistent streaming, so any information on the rollout of persistent streaming and whether we could see global persistence by the end of the year will be great to hear. Plus, more understanding of exactly what they have implemented for 3.15 I will be interested to hear as well. Then of course that leaves server meshing, an everlasting monumental task that is slowly but surely working its way to completion. I really hope to hear good things this year about the plan for rolling this out, and fingers crossed we're looking early next year, if not sooner, to see the first steps of server meshing in the PU. That would seriously make my day. Now this panel will of course be of major importance for many backers, as these are two of the very last and likely most important tech pillars that will make Star Citizen possible. Personally, I would love to see a working example of server meshing, which is actually what I expect to see. I also think that if we do see a gameplay demo during the keynote, then I reckon we could hear that that demo was running with static server meshing, and sometime during the show they went from one shard to another with everything just seamlessly transitioning. But that is just my hopes and dreams, not something CIG have said they will do, but my fingers are firmly crossed for this. Again, if I was to guess in terms of length, it would probably be another hour-long panel, if not a little more, so a lot to sink our teeth into. Now, after the server meshing panel, the next panel is called the Sound in Space, which says, the mad minds behind the soundscape of Star Citizen take you on a guided tour of the latest developments in the innovative new audio tech that truly brings the verse to life. Now, in comparison to the other panels, this does sound a little less exciting, but the team behind the sounds in Star Citizen are just phenomenal. And it will obviously only get better with time, and personally I am very interested to hear what this new innovative audio tech is and just how that will affect Star Citizen. This panel could last anywhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour, so a bit of a lighter panel that will be a nice change of pace from the previous panels, and as I say, very interested to hear what this new innovative tech is. So the final panel of the night, which I certainly think will be minimum an hour, is called Systemic Gameplay Stream of Thought. Now, there is probably a very good reason why this was left till last, and the fact that Tony Zurovec is on this one gives it away that it's going to be a pretty exciting panel. This official panel description reads, Tony Zurovec leads a wide-ranging discussion about upcoming features like selling used items, local inventory, the convergence of reputation and mission systems, why physicalized cargo is so important, the next couple of dynamic events, and more. Tony will also give an update on how efforts to integrate the first few bits of the quantum simulation into the game are proceeding. Wow, okay, so there is a lot to break down here. Firstly, selling used items. Very excited for this, as it will bring so much to the current PU and obviously be a huge aspect going forwards, especially now that loot generation is coming in with 3.15. It'll probably touch upon how we will be able to sell items, the initial implementation, to the long-term intentions. For local inventory, it may be speaking more about what we have already in 3.15, but of course that is just the first step into that system, so hopefully we will hear a little bit more on the advancement of the inventory system to make it more physicalized. Reputation and missions will be a great talking point, as hooking up all the missions and organizations in the game to utilize this reputation system will provide much more depth and feeling of progression, so I'm very interested to hear how this rep stuff will expand as more gets hooked up. Even in 3.15, I believe some delivery corporations or organizations will have reputation missions for players in the next build. Then, speaking about the importance of physicalized cargo, that is going to be music to my ears. Now, although the work on the cargo refactor is not going to be done until November, December time, it's still great to hear just how we will see this affect the game, and hopefully some in-game example of it as well. It is such a vital system as it plays into hauling and piracy and many other areas of the game, but more importantly the economy. So it needs to be a very robust system to fully support all those areas. As it mentions, they will speak about the next couple of upcoming events, which will be Jumptown, I expect, and maybe Ninetales unless they've got something else going on. But more importantly, we will get to hear how the integration of the quantum system is going. Now, this is the overarching back-end simulation that handles the economy and all the AI as they make their way around the verse, virtually and then physically based on the player's movements and so on. So a hugely important aspect, and I also suspect we will hear that this is probably the reason why they haven't done anything to hotfix the current commodity trading issues in the PU yet, as I think this system is not too far off and will just create a much more solid foundational system for commodity trading to grow as a proper system that they want it to be, and not just what we currently have now, or well, that we don't have right now. Personally, I am most excited for this panel, and I would expect it to be an hour-long minimum, but if Tony Zurovec and the rest want to talk longer, I certainly won't complain. So that brings us back to the Chris Roberts closing keynote. Now, this will likely be about an hour to an hour and a half, as he hopefully finishes off the gameplay demo and addresses the new road to release, talking about the remaining steps to maybe get the PU out of alpha and into beta, addressing what we have heard on server meshing, persistence, and the quantum simulation. So all in all, a pretty epic night with some really great talking points. What I personally want to see this year, there is a lot of features that I would love to see demonstrated in some way during the event, but nothing I speak of here is confirmed at all. They haven't mentioned they're going to be presenting any of this. These are just my hopes and dreams for what I want to see and think it's quite likely based on what CIG are currently working on. Firstly, creatures and NPCs moving planetside, utilising the nav mesh and maybe spawn closets as well. For creatures, it could even just be an in-engine rendering of the Boreal Stalker or Microtech Bear, or even space whales. That would be pretty cool. Potentially homesteads. If they can combine the two with NPCs living planetside as they move around, it could be something we get to see on Pyro's planets, all these different homesteads that they're creating for the occupants, as CIG have gone very quiet on that front, which could be a good indication, regardless of whether the homesteads are being re-evaluated on the release viewer or not, as the work on these are still ongoing, regardless of whether they're being put into the PU or not anytime soon, and CIG would likely want us to see the progress. I would love to see how the damage breakability and the physical material system is coming along, especially as the work on the damage and breakability from the physics team finished earlier this month. So a working demo of maybe how a ship will crash into a planet, into one another, or be damaged by weaponry would be great to see, especially as salvage is still on the release viewer. Which leads me to the gameplay mechanics. Seeing anything on the salvaging mechanic would be phenomenal, be that hand salvaging or ship salvaging, as obviously the team working on 3.16 will be getting on with it already. So fingers crossed it doesn't get pushed back, or at the very least we get to see it at CitizenCon. I would be very happy. But things like ship refining and ship refueling, or even anything engineering, that would be amazing to glimpse. I think it's pretty safe to assume that we will see the latest progress on jump points, maybe even in the gameplay demo, if there is one, as there's been a lot of spacescaping and work done on jump points, so I think that's quite a likely possibility. Theatres of War, of course, we haven't heard anything about Theatres of War or even Firesprite for a long time now. I do think they will like to touch on this, or at least mention the situation with Firesprite and Sony, and how, if at all, it affects Star Citizen. Not likely a focal point of CitizenCon, but hopefully an update at least. And finally, clouds and weather. We have not had any more updates outside of the monthly reports regarding the cloud tech, which was initially dropped in 3.14 for Crusader, and I would love to see more on the cloud front, maybe the work on making them look a bit better and on other planets and moons beyond Crusader, and if they have anything to show off yet for weather, I would be very excited to see that. Maybe asking a little bit too much, as they do kind of need clouds to get properly invested into that, but it would be cool nonetheless. Now, other aspects that I know have work finishing in September, and the roadmap video talking about that is still coming, by the way, are vehicle-in-vehicle spawning, life support modules in ships, the new star map, and tons of AI work to bring them more to life. Any of these could potentially be seen at CitizenCon this year, and if not spoken about directly, possibly shown in the gameplay demo. Then that just leaves Squadron 42. As Chris Roberts mentioned a few months ago, Chris, Sandy and the family are moving back to the UK, and in Chris's words, exactly, to be with the Squadron team for some time to get it finished. So could we see, or at least hear more about the progress on Squadron 42 and its road to release? We will see. Anyway, that is the breakdown of what is happening at CitizenCon this year. It is going to be an epic night for any Star Citizen backer, and if you can tune in and watch any of it, I do highly recommend it, but don't worry if not, as all the panels and the keynote will be published on YouTube later on. I am getting more and more excited as the minutes pass, and as I say, we are literally a week away now. I won't be streaming the event, as I just want to enjoy it as a backer and a fan, as when I do stream live events and live shows, I tend to miss out on a lot of stuff because I'm reading chat and whatnot. But of course, I will cover it fully on YouTube and spend a lot of time talking about it in depth, breaking it down together over at twitch.tv/supermacbrothers So do consider subscribing here on YouTube and follow me over at Twitch if that sounds of interest to you. Hit the like button if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, these videos are made possible thanks to my very generous patrons and channel members. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.